And there's a very reflective or philosophical way of looking at this. You cannot distribute wealth unless you first create wealth. And I think what we need to ensure in terms of economic approach and industrial leadership and social leadership is that part of the wealth which is really getting created is distributed. And if we don't do that, we are asking for trouble, and we are asking for a choke on our own wealth creation. The other important point which I just want to make, and it's very relevant to the industry I represent, which is information technology and BPO, is we need to get, as industry leaders, and I think this is again reflective across industry, into some amount of mindset change. We have to get away from the concept that we are a low-cost destination, both by industry consumers and prospective employees, to a destination which gives very high value at a very cost-effective price. And that's what customers want all over the place. And there's a very fundamental difference between the two. And the second important perception is, and you have seen quite a bit of this here, and people who work with us realize it in various industries, that as a nation, we have always got the image of being followers and imitators. We are not a nation of followers and innovation and imitators. I think you're going to see a huge amount of innovation coming from our country. Innovation coming from our country in terms of products, in terms of services, and I believe most important in terms of a completely drastic change in business models, whether it be in software, whether it be in BPO, whether it be in pharmaceutical research, and very interestingly, particularly over the past 6 months, hugely cost-effective business models on rendering financial services globally. And that's the way it is going to go ahead, and that's the way it is going to keep amplifying. Everyone is being put on time limitations. Let me just leave with these points, and we can cover balance in terms of a discussion.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I would say, from my perspective, the comments are not only appropriate, but I would agree clearly in concept. This country that I have had the opportunity to visit since the mid-'80s is not only a very sophisticated country, but it's an amazing country. In the short time frame that I've been coming to India, and it is a short time frame, my personal view is not only impressed, but somewhat humbled by the incredible growth, the willingness to succeed, and the desire to be recognized for the achievements that the country has made. It's easy to have opinions about other countries, or it's easy to have opinions about other things when you don't have to solve the problem. So it's easy to have commentary when you read comments by various learned individuals when they aren't part of the day-to-day issues, or they don't represent the day-to-day issues, or they don't have to live with it. I think that Edward's comments in the beginning, though, were very focused and very clear, and the two that struck me were obviously complacency and the inequality gap. I think both of those are clearly issues that, again, from my perspective, are important for anyone. They're important for any country. They're important for any business. Countries are no different than businesses. It's just a difference in terms of whether you're for profit or not for profit. Companies don't have the opportunity to get paid by taxes. Companies get the opportunity to go out and earn it every day. So if we fail, we go out of business. But clearly, a government's role is to provide the security, the guidelines, and the establishment of consistency throughout a nation and a region. And consistency is very important. Consistency in infrastructure, consistency in education, consistency in objectives. And that is something as a developing, any country, whether you're developed or not totally developed, has to continue to monitor. And I think it's up to the population and the leaders in that population, both economically and from an educational standpoint, to demand that from their government. Otherwise, their government falls short. The inequality gap, I think, you see that throughout the world. There are inequality gaps in every country. There are inequality gaps in the U.S. It's a fact of life, and it is what it is. But more importantly, the constant pressure to improve that situation must not be something that is forgotten, because there are too many talented individuals that get left behind if you don't do that. We view, certainly from a company standpoint, we are very much invested in this country and will continue to be invested. It is the center of our, what we call our offshore efforts, and what we actually call our best shore efforts. We coined a phrase called best shore because we believe that's what it's really all about. It's not a labor arbitrage, it's a skill arbitrage. We seek the best skills. We don't seek the best price point's not always the most important thing. It's really the quality of skill. And this country has developed some of the most fascinating and quickest development in the skill area that we've been party to. So again, we're very impressed. But I think whether India is declaring victory too soon is in the eyes of the beholder. I do think that there are elements to be concerned about, both from external influences, whether they're the U.S. election that Edward referred to, because the backlash is a great political commentary. Whether it has any impact or not is yet to be seen, but the facts are this is a world economy, and we live in a world economy. You live in a world economy. Every country lives in a world economy, whether they like it or not. And at the end of the day, it is about the best skills. And as long as you stay focused on the best skills, I think that I don't think you can ever declare victory too soon. You should be proud of your accomplishments and use that pride to drive even further, but never be complacent in doing so. So that's what I would say. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to start where Ed left off about are we declaring victory too soon? And as all of us who might be cricket fans know, that we have this very unique and special ability to, grab defeat from the jaws of victory. We're about to win, very comfortable run rate, lots of wickets in hand, and suddenly there's a collapse and you've got your heart in your mouth and wondering what's going to happen now. So maybe that's what India is all about. Edward also talked of concerns, and I want to start at the broader level of sharing those. For one part of India, reflected very strongly in the media, CPM is the most important thing in this country. And I don't mean the political party whom some of us feel are holding back things. I mean cricket, politics, and movies. That's what you see in the media. But there is a large part of the country from a different CPM, which is serials, pulses, and money are very important because they don't have enough of any of those. And I think that's one of the issues which we've got to look at, that this model of development, which is unique, and Ed has written about it, and extraordinary, as we move and power ahead at 9% plus a year and have dreams of overtaking China at a double-digit growth rate, is that the metric that we want to use? And I think this is particularly the right forum to look at this, because this industry, the IT industry, is driven by metrics. All of us know in your own companies, you set certain metrics, and you know that the metrics are what drives people towards a particular direction. Because you set the metric and that becomes a goal, that becomes the focus. If every day in the newspaper, all you read about is not infant mortality rates, not poverty rates, not rates of maternal mortality or of the kind of malnutrition, but all you read is about 9%, 9.2%, 9.8%, revised from 8.2 to 9%, clearly that is the metric on which everybody is focused. Just as that Sensex that you see every 30 seconds on your CNBC or your Awaaz or your NDTV profit screen is driving things from the finance minister onwards, who worries when the Sensex takes a dip, but don't see that same concern when the poverty decreases by 1% a year only. I think that's something which all of us not only need to worry about, but need to see that as people who have run businesses so successfully, what is it that we can apply from that model of a metrics-driven orientation and goal towards setting national goals in the next 5-year plan, which don't talk of 9% growth rate, but talk in headlines about where we'll bring that poverty rate down to. The second point I want to pick from what we in the IT industry have done, and I think Ram mentioned this too, Azim mentioned this, is the disruptive business model. We've created, and I don't want to overhype this, particularly after Ed has very rightly pointed how we tend to overhype things. Don't overhype what we have done from the IT industry in India, but I do think in some ways we changed the rules of the game.